Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me properly? Am I audible? Hi, Ria. Hello, Yash. Amazing, amazing. Are you guys excited today? You are? Amazing. So great, great. That's good. We will wait for two more minutes and then we'll go ahead, okay? So why are we doing what we are doing today? The core reason is habits, okay? I used to struggle with sitting down and preparing for the interview. And what helped me was me telling Kalpesh the accountability aspect. So me telling, okay, today I did this, today I did this. So like that, I wanted to create a small habit with you guys also so that we both every time we come here every day we are accountable to each other that yes, I am studying, you are studying, okay? And the way this is going to go about this, I will pick up a random interview question from internet anywhere that I find, and I am going to um, help you guys on how to approach that particular interview question. With this, what will happen is we will learn. Okay, so that's the idea. What is expected out of everyone is that little bit SQL should be known. I'm not saying you have to be genius. Just select star from. Even if you know that much, I think it is good to go. I will explain everything. Note one thing that I might be slow. For some of you who are SQL expert, you might think that Aditi is going slow, but try understanding that there is a wide range of audience right in front of us, and we must cater to everyone so that everyone understands. Way that we will go about this, there are basic questions that you can ask is, if you didn't understand something that I was explaining, you can always ask me to repeat. I will repeat. If you have some questions which are longer, may take up time, and we only have 30 minutes, I will share a Google form at the end, okay? And every day what we will do is, whatever doubts you have, you can put in the Google form. Next day, the first 5-10 minutes, I will answer your doubts. And then we will start, okay? So, of course, always stop me if you guys are not understanding something, okay? Just in a minute, I will start. Before that, can you guys tell me where you guys are from, which state? Just a minute. Which state are you guys from? Jaipur, great. Mumbai, Gwalior, great, great, great. Priyanka. Oh, that's amazing. There's so many. Yes. Okay, okay. It's amazing. We have people from so many places. Great, great, great. Shimla, amazing, amazing. Good. We have a person from New York. That's good. That's good. That's great to know from where all you guys are joining. So we will start without further delay. We will start. Okay. Let me share my screen, and let me just adjust my screen a little. Give me 1 second. Before that, okay, great. Let me reshare my screen. Can you see PG admin here? Can you see PostgreSQL open? Is the screen visible? Okay, great. So we are recording, so you don't have to worry about recording. We will upload it on YouTube so everyone can see it. Okay, great. Now let us understand how we are going to go about this session. Okay. First, I will, as I said, I'm going to pick up questions. We are going to try understanding the problem statement. We are then we are going to try making sense out of it. And as time progresses, we are going to actually run the query basis that. Okay. So let us begin. Our first question is on an histogram of tweets. So X, this is a SQL question from X. The level at which this question is, it's a quite easy question. This question is picked up from Data Lemur, and the data is of course updated by us because these websites do not give you the entire data set. So that is something that we have updated. Okay. Now, this problem deals with a table. Okay, this table basically is called tweets. It contains 4 columns. First column is tweet ID. Second column is user ID. The third column is message, the actual tweet, what is written in that tweet. And the last column is tweet date, which is in which format? Timestamp format, which includes date as well as the time at which the tweet was uploaded. Now, this is the table. There's one tip that I want to share with you guys. There always an SQL interview can happen in 2 ways. One way is that interviewer is talking to you and he will casually take up this question and say, hey, okay, there is this table. I want to fetch this data. How are you going to do it? Okay. So you will not have your query tool open at that point. And that's where you have to speak SQL verbally. Second way that a SQL interview can happen to you is that there is a test and you write the test and then you query it where the query tool is open to you. We are used to writing it in a query tool, but from now on, I want you, whenever you see a SQL interview question, I want you to think about how would you verbally respond to an interviewer, okay? Works? Now that we have that thing aside, the question is that assume we are given a table named tweets. We have to basically write a query to obtain a histogram of tweet posted by users in 2022. Now, histogram, of course, there's no data visualization involved here. But I do understand when people talk about histogram, there can be some sort of grouping that we might be doing. Let us read the second line. The output, how the output should look like. The output should contain in the first column, tweet count per user has a bucket. And the second column should be the number of Twitter users who fall into that bucket. Okay. Don't worry if you didn't understand. We will take it step by step. So in simple words, we basically have to group the users by the number of tweets they posted in 2022 and the count of the number of users who fall in that group. Don't worry, we are going to look at data, okay? So this is something how the output should look like. Now, this is something that won't be given to you during an interview. So I am not touching on this, okay? You don't even, let's not look at that. First, let us create the table, okay? I want to ensure that if there is any such table in my system at this point, I will first remove it so that while I do anything else, there's no error. Okay, so I dropped, if there was a table named tweets, I have dropped that table. Then I have told SQL, hey SQL, I want you to create a table called tweets. Then what I want you to do is I want you to create a column named tweet ID. This column is basically going to have integer as an input, and this column is going to be a primary key. Primary key will ensure that each tweet has a unique tweet ID. Does everyone understand till here? Yes or no in the chats? Okay, great, great. I'm glad. Amazing. Thank you for confirming, guys. Okay, the next column is user ID, which is again an integer type. Next is message. Message is basically the tweet that was written. And the last one is tweet date, date at which it is written. So now that I have done that, let me run this query. Okay. So this query is run successfully. We now have a table, like a table called tweets. Okay. Next, I want to insert the value in this column, in this table. So what I tell SQL is SQL insert into this table. You are basically right now inserting into the 4 columns that are there, and the values that you are going to do is the first row will have tweet ID 10,001, and then it will have user ID this, and then this particular user will write a message, something that looks like this, and the message is written in timestamp. So that means not only it covers date, but it also covers the exact HHMMSS format of time. Okay, so this is how you write it. Great. So this way you will enter all the data points that there is. Now tell me, I have a question for you guys. Will the user ID be unique? Yes or no in the chats? Will it be unique? If unique, yes. If not unique, say no. Everyone understands? Okay, Ria, I'll explain you. It will not be unique. Okay, Vashita, I'll explain. See, the reason why it will not be unique is, and user can put in as many tweets as the user wants, right? So, tweet ID will be unique. However, user ID may have repetition. Okay. Did you guys understand? Who was it? Was it Ria? Ria, did you understand? Okay, great. Vashita, okay, great. So now that everyone understands this, this is all the data that we have in front of us. And we are basically, all that we are doing is we are inserting the data, okay? Let me go through the entire query. Function F5 is a shortcut to run the query, okay? Next. Next, what we are going to do, we are just basically going to see our data, which will help us understand what kind of data we have. So if you look here, you are going to see that you have a tweet ID. It says it's a primary key. Then you have a user ID. Then you have message. Then you have tweet date. Okay. I'm going to download this, save it somewhere here. Let me open it. Let me open this. Okay, I've just downloaded it in my Excel. Give me a minute. Just a second, there's a little hang. Okay, great, works. So, can everyone see my Excel? Yes or no on the chats? Okay. Let me reshare my screen. Can you see my Excel now? Yes or no on the chats? Great, amazing. So what I did is I actually downloaded the data into an Excel so that I can understand it better. Now, why am I opening an Excel when I am teaching a SQL? This is so that you guys understand it better. How did I download? Just a second. Amar, I'll just show you how did I do that. See, there is a download option here. Can you see that? So when you press that, it gets downloaded, as simple as that, right? So let me reshare my Excel. Understood, Amar? Okay, great. ठीक है. अब मुझको क्या चाहिए? What is the thing that I'm looking for? I'm looking for basically some sort of group. Suppose I'm looking for a count of tweets. Then I'm looking for, so basically I'm going to group this first column, okay? What am I going to do? I'm going to group this first column. Next, what I'm looking for? I'm looking for user ID. So how am I going to do that? User ID count. This is also going to be some sort of count. So suppose there is one. So what does it mean? If I put one, how many users have actually posted only one tweet in the year 2022? So say 3. Suppose 2. How many users in the year? I don't know PostgreSQL, but I know. So Naveen, you don't have to worry if you just know MySQL. It is exactly the same. Don't worry. Okay. Yeah. Coming back to the point. Suppose you want 2 here. So if I write 5, how do you interpret this? Can someone write an interpretation of this row? What does this mean? Just write in simple English. What do you understand with this 5 and 2? Anyone? Anyone can attempt? For example, this is that there are 3 users that have posted only one tweet in the year 2022. So what is this? The 5 persons have tweeted. Yeah, perfect. 2 tweets. Perfect. You guys are understanding. Okay, this is what we need. This is the final output that we need. Okay, but this is what we have. So from here, we have to go here. If I would have told you, okay, hey, you have to go to this way with Excel, what would you do? I would simply do this, okay? Just give me a minute. I would simply go to insert. I will open the pivot table. I am going to do this, put the pivot here, do this. The first thought that I will get is that, hey, I first need to know with each user, how many tweets have they put? This is the first thought I will have. First, I need to know कि अच्छा ठीक है कितने हर एक बंदे ने एक बंदे ने कितने tweets in total डाले हैं. From here, you can see there is a user called 111. They have actually posted 3 tweets. With that, always remember there is a filter that you are applying, okay? Let me do this. There's a sort of filter that you are applying. Do you understand this is the first step? And why this is the first step? Everyone understands. The first step is to understand हर एक user ने कितने tweets किए. Every user, how many tweets have they done? This is our first step. What will be our second step? Our second step is very simple now. Now that we know our first step, our second step becomes extremely simple. We just take these two guys. This is user ID and this is basically count of tweets. So what I do is I do a second pivot, okay? And I again do it in this sheet and I paste it here somewhere. And what I do is I basically now want the count here and then I want the user count here. I don't want a sum. I'm going to do value field, make it a count here, correct? So my output looks like this, correct? So this is what this is how I'm going to approach the problem. Now, my final output is inspired by this table. So somewhere you need to know there is a case of subquery because you first have to create this table and then you have to create this table. And if you want to do a pivot sort of an expression in SQL, what kind of formula do you use? Anyone? Suppose I want to take out count from a table like that. What will you do? What will you do? What clause will you put? Any guesses? Group by, perfect. And even CTE, person who said CTE, both are good, but with CTE, you'll anyway have to do group by. But group by is very good answer. I hope you guys are understanding. Now that we understand it with help of Excel, I am sure when I open SQL, everyone is going to understand how is the solution. The first step is I want to create my first table. I want a table that shows me for each user ID, how many tweets have they done? But with a condition. What is my condition? That the tweet date should be between this and this. And I want to group it by user ID. And I'm just going to run this query. And can you see we got our first table? Does everyone understand till here? Yes or no in the chats? Does everyone understand? Perfect, perfect. Now that this is done, what are you going to do? You want this table. So for everyone who is doing subquery for the first time, listen to me. You know that your next step depends upon this table. So do you agree when I say that in the next query you write in the from clause, you are going to add this table? Do you guys understand, people who are doing subquery for the first time, do you understand why this will end up going inside the for clause? This is called as subquery. Everyone understands? Yes or no in the chats? I got only 2 yeses. Okay, perfect. You didn't understand? I'll explain you once again. See, you little bit of, okay. Does everyone understand we need this table? And from this table, we can get final output. Tisha, do you understand this? With this table, we can get the final output. Yes or no? Okay. Now, whenever you want to do anything, okay, whenever you want to do any sort of operation, whatever you want to do, you want to select a column, you want to add, you want to subtract, whatever you want to do, you do it in the select clause. But then in the for clause, what do you add? Your reference table, correct? Always you do this, Tisha. Now, what is a reference table for me? My reference table is this new table that I created using this query. So that's the reason I want to put this in the for clause. Understood, Tisha? Yes or no? There was also someone who didn't understand. I hope that person has also understood. The chats have gone pretty up. So now that you understand that we are using subquery, I'm going to just delete this so that there is no confusion. Okay. So what will be solution? Solution is first you want to basically, so what I did is I just renamed this count column and I called it tweet count per user. Now what I do is I simply say, okay, now I want tweet count per user, and this time you count user ID. From where do you want? I want from this table. Remember what we did in the second pivot that we created in Excel? We again did a pivot and we aggregated and did a count. Everyone understands why I'm doing a count here? Yes or no in the chats? What is a pivot in general? A pivot is basically if you want to create a sensible cross table. For example, this is a sort of a pivot table which you can create in Excel. It's an Excel term basically. And if you want to aggregate, right now what we did, we aggregated, correct? We have user ID in one place, and then I want to know each user how many tweets we did. So such kind of table is called pivot table. Ramesh, what exactly you didn't understand? If you could be precise, I can help you. Okay. Everyone else, I hope you guys are getting this. Now that you understand this, what will come after for from clause? Anyone can guess? What will come after from? Pivot is featured here. Table. Table तो आ गया, मैंने table लिख दिया. Do you agree there will be one more group by? Perfect, Siddhika. Very good. There will be one more group by. Why? Because I'm again aggregating this. Everyone understands? Yes or no in the chats? Perfect. So I'm going to run this piece of code again. Now this is your final solution code, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do function F5 and voila, here's your solution. Now did everyone understand the solution? There was one person who had mentioned about CTE, and here's what I want to say to that person. There's one more way to solve this problem. That's called as using CTE. Now, suppose an interviewer asked you this question. How would you approach if it was verbal? You would say, hey, I think the first step to solve this problem is I would want to know the by each number of user, how many tweets have they done? And once I have that table, I'm going to group it again and then find out what are the number of tweets and how many users have done that. So this is how you say it. To avoid subquery, and if you want to impress the interviewer more, what you can do is you can say that instead of subquery, because it looks very complicated and it is also time consuming for bigger queries, what we do is we can also do something called as CTE. Yeah, CTE is better. The answer is that. Okay, why it saves time. Second, it looks better. So someone reading a query, it increases the readability. So CTE is better. Now for people who are understanding CTE for the first time, CTE stands for Common Table Expression. Okay, it's a temporary table that is created for you. Whenever what happens is whenever you include that table in your query, SQL is going to go back and run the piece of code that you have kept in the backend. What do I mean by that? Like views in MySQL, yes, very much like views. Okay, so like what? What do I mean? So what you do is basically, see, this is a subquery that is making our entire query look little dirty or little too much of query, right? So instead of putting it as a subquery in this, what you do is you put it with a with clause on the top. what you do is you say with, then you give this table a new name, say call it group tweets, and then you put the entire query. So what happens is Python is going to save this query in the backend, and every time you say group tweets, it's going to say, okay, there's a table that Aditi has saved, and Aditi is free to refer to that table anywhere in this query tool. Of course, if you open a new query tool and suddenly you're telling SQL, okay, go to group tweets, SQL does not remember it. It forgets. Right now, what is happening is, see, I'll tell you one thing, okay? Can you see the schema? Inside the schema, there is something called as tables, okay? In this tables, there are, so this table usually what it does, it saves the tables that you have used in the create. So if I go to this interview prep, if I go to my schema here and I go to table, so it has saved the table called as tweets. So every time, now it is in my database. So every time I open SQL, what is going to happen is my database remembers tweets. Unless I say, okay, hey, delete if exists, unless I do this harkat, unless I do this, it's always going to remember. But the difference with CTE is it's a temporary table. That's why it is called as a temporary table, right? Common table expression, correct? So it's not going to remember. So when I run this piece of code, it is not going to remember it. However, for the time being inside the query, you can always call it and SQL is going to know what you're talking about. Now we do this with clause. We put in our first table, and then I can simply say, hey, SQL, I want these two columns. I want it from group tweets, which is there on the top, and you group it by. Now this query looks more neat, right? And when I run this entire thing, function F5, it is going to give me the same output, right? So these are two ways. If you mention about CTE, interviewer will get more impressed. Did you guys understand this interview question? Yes or no in the chats? Was it easy? Now I had two interview questions. However, we only have our time is up. So you guys tell me what should I do? Can you get the PDF question with solution? Yes, yes, I will share this, not in the PDF form, but I will share this once more for CTE. Deepak, CTE is basically a temporary table that you create, a temporary expressions that you create. So instead of you putting everything like that in a subquery, which doesn't make it readable, you basically can use a with clause, name it, and put the query, and it is for temporary going to save this query. So whenever in future, if you want to call it inside the same one, inside the same query tool, you can call it like that from, instead of writing this subquery, it will overcome that and now it will make it look neat. Is it possible to use your function instead of using between? Yes, it is possible to use that. Only be mindful with PostgreSQL if it accepts here. So the only difference between these different databases is that the date function makes it little difficult. Date function is something that changes, otherwise everything is same. So what do you guys want me to do? Do you want me to do question 2? We will try it. Can you provide us with the solution? We will try to solve. If we have to wrap up in the session, okay, we'll try to solve. Okay, so I will share the solution. One thing I will request if I'm sharing the problem with you guys is don't directly Google it, because what is going to happen is you're going to find a blog and it is going to give you the solution. Even when you are opening a chat GPT or a Bard in your system and asking it a question, be mindful of the question you are asking. If you're going to simply put a query, it's going to give you output. There's no learning, correct? So don't do that. Do something that makes your brain work. So like what I did right now. So now with that, I'm going to share the problem statement with you guys, and tomorrow we'll discuss that. Okay. It was great having you guys. Thank you so much for coming. It means a lot. Thank you so much. Can we click one picture before we go? Just give me 1 minute. Where's my phone? Just give me 1 minute. Please on your camera till then. Let me search my phone. It's amazing. You guys can take a minute or so. I joined. Shall we receive the recording? So, no problem, Naveen. A recording will be uploaded on YouTube, so don't worry. No worries. Great. Okay, I'm taking a picture, taking a video. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Only thing is Google form we have to share. We will share it, okay? The Google form, don't worry. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. See you tomorrow. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Thank you.